This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 601 of the Dressage Radio Show, official podcast of the United States Dressage Federation on the Horse Radio Network, brought to you by ProStride. Well, we have a great show lined up for you, starting with Brook Irving-Martz, a junior rider teaching specialist from Washington State. And then we are excited to interview Natasha Altoff, all the way from Australia, about her online education program, followed by a book review with Horse Radio Network Auditor, Katja Korsh, and then we wrap it up with a great trainer tip by Kristi Wysocki.
This is Reese Koffler-Stanfield from Loxahatchee, Florida.
And this is Philip Parks from Rockwood, Ontario, and you're listening to the Dressage Radio Show.
Hi, Phil.
Hi, Reese. How are you doing?
I'm good. It's been busy down here. I'm not going to lie.
Well, you've been showing, you've been teaching, you've been, what else?
Yeah, showing,
That's
teaching.
about it, yeah.
Lifing, yeah. That's about I've been a lot of walking. It's been crazy. We're going at it. Like, I had my first Grand Prix on bingo this week. And so that was really exciting. And, it actually was quite good. Definitely things we can, improve on, as we can always say. But, I think when and I think everyone can relate, when you have a new horse, I think one of the hardest things arguably is to go down the center line. Because it's not just
get out there. You didn't know what was going to happen. He's got no experience, but it wasn't with you. And I think that's quite a big accomplishment.
Yeah. And I mean, even just stuff like, I respect, loading the horse on the trailer and going to a new showgrounds and how does that work? And so, we really, and we talk a lot about it on the show as well. And, you have to practice what you preach. And so we came to Florida in December early a little bit so that it would give us time to get him settled, but also just take him off the property safely. But everything we have been able to do here in Florida has been actually very COVID safe. And we're pretty sensitive. I'm pretty sensitive to that. But we've been able to go to different farms, and my coach, Scott Hassler, has been amazing. And Sarah Turry, my horse's nannies, has been great. So we've been working hard and going places, and, even just loading him on the trailer and taking him and going other places. So we've been very systematical about it. And so once we got down the center line, it felt really good. And it was really a pleasure.
That's fantastic. That's just a huge success, right there,
It is. And I haven't ridden a Grand Prix in... it's been a decade. It's been a long time. And, riding the Grand Prix, it's such a mental, physical game as well. It's so hard. And I think it's all relative, right? Going to your first horse show on any horse is hard. The Grand Prix is very, very difficult. And I honestly forgot a little on how mental it was. And so it's kind of fun to be back in that game now. So it's been great. And one of the cool things, and arguably the reason we come to Wellington and Florida, is in the morning I rode a Grand Prix. In the afternoon, we literally took a horse to his first horse show. And we took another mare who hasn't been to a horse show in 6 years to a horse show. So it was quite a weekend of, literally Grand Prix at Global to first horse show with a off the track thoroughbred. So they were both exciting.
Running the whole whole gambit of all the things that we talk about here on the show, and actually getting out and doing it, and listening to your own advice, I think is
I think
is
so.
important.
And, they're all challenges, right? The one young she's not a young Frisian. She's actually 14. She's not young, but she hadn't been to a horse show in 6 years. So, that was just, we know the horse pretty well. She's been in training since May. So we know her. But we didn't know her when we got her to the horse show. It was like, excited. whoa, I mean, we were not ready for that. And thankfully we had a friend that was there that had a lunge line because we needed it. And she had to hack down. So there's 2 different showgrounds here. In our neighborhood, there's one where we hack to. So it's about a half a mile walk from the barn. So that brings its own challenges than going to the horse show at Global, which is another set of challenges and different skills. And we've been practicing with them going to the horse show, but we haven't gone into the horse show because obviously you can't go in the horse show grounds on not a horse show weekend. So yeah, it was really fun. It was a lot of challenges but that was great. So it's why we're here and it's, what we're doing. And, the other nice thing here is you can take horses to different farms. I have friends in the neighborhood and that's pretty cool. So it is good and all challenges, as you can imagine. And the young thoroughbred, we didn't really have any aspirations to ride him necessarily at the horse show this weekend. We just took him to school and he'll probably school now for the next couple horse shows, just so he gets down there and learns that it's not so exciting. And
then he doesn't need to go fast.
He doesn't need to go fast. I mean, again, that's very difficult to walk a young thoroughbred down the street. But we're going to keep doing it until he's good at it. And we can do that for the next 3 or 4 months that we're here. So it was a great weekend. We actually go right back at it with Bingo and I are doing the Grand Prix next week. This time, no whip, because in a CDI, there's no whips. You can't take a whip in with you. So, and then we're going to ride the Grand Prix special. And Phil, I was thinking we need to have Patty Mayer back on the show. We have not gone through the Grand Prix special and I want to go through it for myself. So we have to have her back on. But the Grand Prix special, a great idea. Yeah. It's a totally different test of riding. So that'll be really exciting. I'll have to give you guys a full report after next week. So I'll keep you in tune for sure.
Fantastic. Well, we got a kind of a longer show.
We do.
Just because we wanted to bring you guys, all the people we had lined up, and I think we've been doing a little bit longer shows, and we've enjoyed it, and we've enjoyed kind of getting extra guests and talking to more people, and it's fun.
Yeah, it's fun, and we know we were sensitive. I mean, Phil, you're in lockdown, right? You can go to the barn, correct? But you're in lockdown right now.
I go and ride, but they've canceled lessons, so yes. Yeah, we're sympathetic to all riders in all situations, and if our show helps you or to keep up your spirits or to teach you something, that's what we're all about.
Absolutely. We're really excited. And we've got the book review today. So we hope you've been able to read the book, and we have a new book coming. So we're excited about all that program. And we've given you now some new ideas on some online programs. And that was strategic from Phil and I. So you guys can all be working on that and continue to move forward. And Phil, I've got to tell you, I'm stepping up that old fitness routine. My friend who's been on the show, Geraldine Gibson, because again, here in Florida, right, it is open in Florida, but we are essentially in lockdown. We go to the horse show and we go to the barn and that's it. But I do walk with her every evening, and we're almost up to 100 miles now. And I did almost 4 miles before we did the show tonight. And I'm like, I started sitting down. I'm like, oh, I'm tired. But I'm stepping up my own fitness game to be ready for riding and in the Grand Prix. But it's also been fun to have a really good workout partner. So I'm just going to throw that out as a tip to everyone. This has been really helpful for me. Geraldine she's no joke. Like, let me tell you, I'll be like, I'm tired. She's like, I'll meet you at 4:30. Like, I'm tired. And, but to have, I've never had such a great dedicated workout buddy. And she's been awesome. So I'm going to give her a shout out, but also just to recommend, find a good workout buddy. And I mean, I could find 85 other things that I could be doing instead of walking 4 miles. But it's been great. It's been great to get out. And let me tell you, every time I walk back into my house, I feel better. I've seen my friend. We've been chatting, and obviously there's a lot politically going on here in the United States. So it's been fun to have someone to talk to. And it's just been, I've never had that before in my whole life, and wanted to recommend it for everybody. So get a good workout buddy, and shout out to Geraldine Gibson for being mine. So let us know if you have a good workout buddy. We'd like to hear about it. Well, Phil, we're going to jump into the show with Brook Irving-Martz. We hope you enjoy her interview. Well, tonight we are so excited to have Brook Irving-Martz on the show. She owns and operates Kellenbrook Farm in Gig Harbor, Washington, alongside her sister, Kelly. Welcome to the show, Brook.
Thanks for having me, you guys. I'm excited to be here.
We are thrilled to have you. And we were just chatting offline, and I am so happy to have you because you really specialize in youth, and that is so cool. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your operation?
So in 1996, my parents could not afford my sister and I's hobby anymore. And we talked them into buying a little farm down the road. And in order to have horses, we had to take care of 3 other horses on the property to afford our horses. So it kind of got us in our grassroots steps of what it was like taking care of horses. And the neighbor walked down the road and said, would you teach our daughter riding lessons when we were in high school? And so we just kind of were like, yeah, we can teach a kid down the road to ride a pony. So it started our teaching and interaction with kids. And one thing led to another, and it's become our niche in our farm. And our goal is to take kids that are aspiring horse kids to be entrepreneurs in the dressage community and go through the walk trot to kids up through the young riders. So over the years, most of the kids that we've taken out, we have taken from never riding a horse before up through the young rider world and on to saddle fitters in California, to grooms and working students in Florida and beyond. And so it's kind of our specialty to promote dressage to kids.
That's pretty fantastic. Bless you for doing that.
Bless you.
I find kids really challenging, and I'm so grateful. I'm so glad that there are people out there like you who are introducing the next generation of riders and generations beyond, and professional riders, as well as people who are going to keep an interest in horses for life. You know, that's what our sport thrives on. So I just have to say a personal thank you to you and your sister, of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
We think of the teaching the kids as natural and something easy to do. And our peers in the community are like, that's so hard. We can teach the adults. And my sister and I laugh because adults are challenged to teach. And I think it's because we started teaching and interacting with the kids so young that we found a way to interact and develop and relate to them and talk to them in a way that allows them to understand what you're talking about. Like we talk about putting your heels down, making your feet look like your toes are ice cream and your heels are the ice cream cone. An adult you can't talk to in a fun and candid way in that term and get it across as easily. And with the kids, what we've found is that they believe you and they trust you. Adults do too, but we want to analyze it and they want to talk about it. And the kids, they're like, you're the adult, you tell us what to do. And so we're like, you can do it. And we're their biggest cheerleaders as we're teaching them. And they blossom and you see it, and the kids thrive off of that interaction and relationship.
So, Brook, I don't have children myself, but I have nieces who ride. My nephew, I have a nephew as well, but he's not as into the riding. He really likes the tractor part of the farm, so that's also awesome. But I will tell you, even in our area, we have really not a ton of youth coaches. So I always, and I have a dear friend that is wonderful, but she's pretty far from my sister. So it's difficult for her to get there. But it truly is a gift to teach littles because I don't want to teach my niece. Honestly, I like to literally just be the aunt and tell her she's amazing and clap and tell her she's great with her pony. Yep. So it is really hard to find a youth coach. And just a general question, like when you're looking for a youth coach, what are some things you would suggest people look for?
I think I think a youth coach has to be fun. They have to they make the kids feel comfortable in their environment, have a good school horse string if it's starting at the grassroots. And I think that's something that's really hard, is to find a good program with safe, reliable school horses. All of our school horses have been hand-me-down ex-competition horses that have literally been hand-given to us because they're not ready to completely retire. So they're not something that we've gone out and purchased, but a good school horse program, somebody that's fun, energetic, engaging, that the kids don't feel intimidated by, and somebody that builds them up. A lot of coaches, I mean, I've had coaches back in when I was younger, especially when I started out in the hunter jumper, that were not kind. They were condescending. They were not the, hey, you can go do it, you just keep going kind of mentality. They're like, well, you didn't get it, so you should just stop kind of person. And I think that that's what keeps the kids going. When the kids come out of the ring and they've had a bad ride, I'm like, yeah, but it's going to get better. You're going to get there. You're going to keep going. I mean, we've had kids that have gone into championship rides and their horses have taken off bucking. And I'm like, yeah, but you didn't fall off. You kept going. The judge rewarded you for your good moments. Yeah, you lost control and you had something happen and it was a hiccup, and it's keeping the encouragement and their outlook that anything is obtainable. They don't need the $1 million horse, because every day is a moment that they're perfecting themselves with the goal that they have in front of them. And what I've told all of my parents and all of the kids that have come through my program, some of you have aspirations to go to the Olympics. Some of you have aspirations to have a good relationship with a horse. And some of you want to do this for pleasure and relaxation as a way to get out of the house. And riding for horses for everybody is not the same. And it's okay. That doesn't mean you're not a horse person or you're not going to be competent taking care of your horse. We thrive off of different desires. And some of us choose to compete. Some of us choose to have a relationship. And some of us choose the pleasure aspect. And none of that's, and I just don't discourage any kid that walks through the door. But you can tell the ones that thrive, and you want to take every kid to where they want to go. And we encourage them all to go to the top, but that doesn't mean they all want to. And that's okay.
I love that.
All of our kids jump.
Yeah. Oh, even better. Like, I love that, because I think that's great advice for everyone, right? Like, everybody rides for a different reason. And so I love that. Sometimes it is just to be with your horse. And even myself as a professional rider, and I bet you and Philip as well, like I have horses that they're mine and I love them and I love being around them. And yes, I have big goals for them, but at the end of the day, they make me smile and I enjoy being around them. That's why I do this job. So I think you can take that relationship and take it to other people as well. I love how you were talking about school horses, because maintaining the school horses, I think those horses are just blessed animals, because, they need to be maintained as well. And you maintain them, you use ProStride, right? As a great tool to maintain these. Like you said, they're not quite ready to retire, but they do need some maintenance usually, right?
They do. And we've been gifted with older horses, and a lot of our older clients or horses for our clients have gotten older over the years. And what we have, we have several of the horses that are quite metabolic, and, injecting them with steroids is always is scary, with the foundering and the laminitis that can all happen with steroids. The ProStride has given us a very good alternative for these older, they're geriatric, but not ready to retire kind of horses, giving them a safe alternative to relieve inflammation, help stabilize the quality of those joints, to give them more years to get back to their riders that they need to teach the next up and coming generation of what, how to ride a flying change or how to ride a pirouette. And, even some of our clients' horses that are hitting in their 20s, we just injected one recently that, his Cushing levels are over the top, but he was a little stiff in his stifles. We injected his stifles with ProStride, and the horse has not moved better in the last 5 years. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And we just now injected that horse's neck, And he's so loose and so supple, and even better than we've had as a reaction from steroids in that particular horse. So it's been a really exciting to have some alternatives to come along, especially using it in some of our upper level young rider horses as well, giving them some safe alternative rather than putting steroids, which we know isn't great for the joints, giving something that gives them an anti-inflammatory, promotes good slowing down of the tissues and the cartilage inside of the joints as an opportunity to prolong these horses' competition lives and keep them comfortable and healthy for us to do what we want to do with them and give them the opportunities to give back to their riders.
So we've been talking to people about their personal experiences with ProStride. Can you just let us know how long ago maybe you were introduced to the product and how you were introduced to it?
Yeah. So we were introduced about a year and a half ago, maybe now 2 years ago, about a year and a half ago, to ProStride through our vet, Dr. Steve Latimer, and his associates up at Northwest Equine here in Washington. And, you know, we were faced with, we can't inject some of these horses with steroids because their metabolic issues were, you know, not safe enough, and they weren't ready to retire, and they were healthy otherwise. And he gave it to us as an idea when he first started to use it himself. And, you know, we were a little bit like, oh, something different, something new. How is it going to work? You know, and we were a little skeptical. And, you know, we did one horse and we're like, that horse is doing very well. He's sounder. He's more comfortable. He's happier doing his job. And we've slowly been transitioning all of our horses over to ProStride as we've gone along, just because we've had good, positive responses from it. And we feel like it's a safer alternative to our horses versus the other more traditional methods.
Wow. It sounds, again, I think what you're doing with school horses and littles, I think it's amazing. So how can our listeners find some more information about you and your farm online?
You can go look up on through Facebook for Kellenbrook Farms. We have a business page on there, and anybody can message us and contact us via that way. And so thank you.
Oh, fantastic. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show and telling us about ProStride and your program as well. We loved hearing it.
Thank you, guys. Very much appreciated to be on the show too.
This Nutrition Minute is brought to you by Kentucky Performance Products, the company that simplifies your search for research-proven nutritional supplements at kppusa.com.
The horse that matters to you matters to Kentucky Performance Products. Researchers have confirmed that as horses age, they naturally become less sensitive to insulin and more susceptible to health problems caused by too much sugar in the diet. One way to reduce the sugar content in a horse's diet is to replace sugar-laden grains with a high-fat supplement. Fat is an extraordinary energy source. It is readily utilized by the horse and contains more than 2 times the calories of sugary grains. Equijewel Stabilized Rice Bran is an excellent fat supplement. It contains a balanced calcium to phosphorus ratio and won't cause mineral imbalances when added to the diet. Its all-natural ingredients are high in healthy fat and fiber. Best of all, Equijewel allows owners to easily replace the calories previously supplied by sugary grains. When you need to add healthy calories to your horse's diet, choose Equijewel. To learn more, visit Kentucky Performance Products at kppusa.com.
And now a quick word from EcoGold saddle pads. No slipping, no sliding, no problem. EcoGold secure saddle pads are engineered to keep the horse's back comfortable while keeping the saddle in place for a safe, competitive ride. They have impact protection through the seat, and the ultra-thin flaps provide the rider with better communication and a more stable riding position. Available in both English and Western styles. Shop the entire collection at ecogold.ca.
Well, tonight we are very excited to have Natasha Altoff of YourRidingSuccess.com as part of our internet resource guide. Natasha, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Super pumped.
Well, we are not going to lie. This may be the first time we have had everyone in 4 countries. So we're really excited. We're literally pan-global right now, and that makes Phil and I so cool. I know, it's so cool. The magic of the internet. So Natasha, tell us about yourself. Start off with that.
Okay. So I think anyone who just loves horses grew up learning there's a cat, a dog, and a horse, and I wanted the horse. Anytime it was Christmas or a birthday, can I have a horse? And my parents said, no, for years. And I actually think that was probably a good thing because it just made me want it more and made it more hungry. Maybe if they'd given me one when I was 3, I would have stopped. So desperately wanting one, turned into a teenager, and as all teenagers do, went a little bit not sure of my way. And my aunt actually said to my father, "You idiot. She's been asking for years of something that will occupy all her time, all her energy, all her focus, and all her, spare time on weekends and after school, and you've said no." And the very next day, I got told I was allowed a horse. So I love my aunt for that.
Yes. Oh, more dads need to hear that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. This should go on a billboard. Parenting 101. And then I knew nothing about nothing. I just wanted a horse and I wanted to go fast. I wanted to do everything that I had read in the saddle club. And I wanted to have this bond with my horse, and I wanted to just canter bareback across the plain and all that kind of stuff. But then, as the saddle club talks about, there's competition. So we went, okay, we're going to go to a pony club. And that's when I realized I was actually a very competitive person. And I started off in grade 5, which is the worst grade. And I just went, okay, what do I have to do to get to grade 1? I got to get to grade 1, got to get to grade 1, got to get to grade 1. And then at about grade 1, I went, oh, okay, so am I an Olympian now? Is this the Olympics? Because grade 5, I thought grade 1 looked like Olympians. So I'm like, I've arrived. And I had not arrived. Realized I knew nothing. Started competing the official dressage grades in Australia, and started at the bottom. And I remember coming out going, I think that was a good test. And then realizing, I never hit the long side once. I just did my test in 20 by 15, even though it was a 60 by 20. It was just, I had no idea. I didn't even know a correct, by grade 1, I knew a correct lead, but I just didn't know what I didn't know. But again, very competitive. I got to start doing what's the Grand Prix. At least I knew I was at preliminary and I had to get to Grand Prix. It looked pretty easy from trotting on the spots and skipping. How hard could that be? Realized that's actually very hard. And then along the way, I'd always, again, as a child, wanted a black stallion. So ended up traveling to America for a month to stay with Sabine Schutt-Terry at Proud Meadows at the time, where she had been taking Friesians to Grand Prix, and this was my thing. It was like, okay, I have to bring a Friesian to Grand Prix. Came home, went to Holland, brought home 2 stallions because I couldn't pick between them, and ended up being the first person in Australasia to bring a Friesian all the way from nothing to Grand Prix.
That's huge. That's hard. Yeah.
You can't do it. Yeah, and I think that's what started it all. I'm not blessed with anything for this sport. My character is very crazy, very busy, very so near enough is good enough. I'm not a perfectionist, and dressage is all of those. It's everything I'm not. So I really struggled. I hated it. The only reason I kept doing it was because I'm competitive. I have to do it. But I didn't enjoy it. I felt frustrated all the time. I had no idea what people were saying, what they were talking about. None of it made sense. And it was just a really, 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 really hard journey to me. So when I created Dressage Mastery, it was like, okay, now I know how easy it can be. I want to simplify it because I think we all get, the complex. It is complex, but to turn the complex into simple is, what you have to do to be able to make it a fun, easy kind of journey.
So maybe you could tell us a little bit about your program and how that turns the complex mysteries of dressage into a simplified process.
Yeah. So I liken it to making a cake. Like, I literally felt, I always said this about dressage. Dressage is like looking for a needle in a haystack and not even knowing it's a needle you're looking for. That's how lost I was. Very hard to do. So I wanted to simplify it a little bit like making a cake. If someone says just make a chocolate cake and you know nothing, you're like, I'll put chocolate into a kind of a tin and put it in the oven. Like, I don't know about flour. I don't know about sugar. I don't know about, I'm not very good at baking, so excuse me, all the things.
all the ingredients.
But then, the ingredients. And then, then you learn a bit more about dressage. And then I kind of knew the ingredients. I knew there was an outside rein, there was an inside rein, there was legs, there was feet, there was hand, there was mindset, there was the way the horse had to go. I know the pole had to be the highest point. I know you wanted it straight. All these kinds of realms of ingredients. Great. How much? And it didn't matter how many coaches I went to. I was like, is it 1 cup of sugar or 2? How much leg? How much hand? When do you use the outside drain? How much of the outside drain? How exactly would you use the outside drain? Like, when you sift the flour, do you shake it? Do you just pulse it? Like, how do you sift flour? And of course, the answers are very hard to come by because horses, it does become very individualized. Like, you can't just say it is always 1 cup of leg, because one horse might not need as much leg, one horse might need something else. But again, I just went, no, but there has to be a framework. I get that the horses and the humans and the riders, they're all individuals and they're all that, but there has to be a framework. So then I kind of took it to writing the alphabet. We all write and know how to write the letter A so that it forms an A that people can recognize. But actually how we choose to, we do tend to put our own imprint on that A. And however many million people there are in the world, we all have a bit of a different handwriting. So I understood that the horse riding can be our handwriting, but I was like, I still don't know how to write an A. And so I've tried to systemize dressage at least into the alphabet. So everyone can at least form a shoulder in that resembles an A and can, give a half pass that is, resembles a B. And then how you perfect that half pass and how you polish that half pass and how you make it the prettiest half pass on the planet, that's the nuance of, is it 1 cup of sugar, or actually it's 1 1/4. And that amazing chef just knows how to play with those ingredients to make it the best chocolate cake you've ever tasted. But I was like, I'm not up to the best chocolate cake I've ever tasted. I'd like to make a chocolate cake. And right now I can't even do that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Absolutely. I love your perspective on what dressage is and how to break it down. It makes sense to me, well, because I'm involved in it every day. And,
So tell us a little bit about your website and your program.
Yeah, so the website just came about just, again, wanting to help people. I love dressage now. I giggle. It's very playful and fun for me, but it took me like 15 years to get here. So, I wanted to just help people if they were interested in, maybe doing it a different way and having more fun with it. And then I also, at one stage, a different stallion that I had imported over from Europe, after 6 or 8 weeks having him, he backed me off and I broke a bone in my back. And I wasn't allowed to ride for a long time. And then obviously getting back into the riding, I had that fear that I'd never experienced before, that pit in your stomach, that feeling of, the adrenaline running through your body and your whole body shaking and putting that foot in a stirrup. And I was like, oh my gosh, he's a really strong stallion and powerful and egotistical. If I get on him weak or scared or vulnerable, I'm in so much trouble. So I was like, I need to learn how do I have confidence? How do I overcome my fear? How do I go, I've got this, when I don't have this? I'm in victim mentality. I wanted to crawl into a little ball and shake in the corner a little bit. So how do I do that? And again, I was then also studying NLP at the time. I don't know if you've heard of NLP. It stands for Neuro-Linguistic Programming. And it's just a success methodology and the understanding that our world is not our world, or our reality is not our reality, how we perceive it. And the only, we're in control of that, and we get to decide all of that. So that really, really helped me. And again, there was nothing out there for me to overcome the fear. So I just used what I was learning and applied it to my riding and overcoming my fear. And I went, okay, yay, feel great, can get back on the stallion. And, and he backed me off so many more times. But I never felt fear anymore. I just get back on and go, all right, got this. Finally got it that he couldn't back me off anymore. Thank you, horse. But again, I was coaching people, and then I became a mother myself, and I was coaching people that were either feeling great, confident, had kids, and suddenly it disappeared, or they had had a fall and they weren't confident, or nothing had happened to them, but they just one day woke up and were scared. So I started, teaching that and got really great results. And I went, okay, awesome. I need to help the world with this. I was always aware that my time was finite, and if I work with someone one-on-one, that's only one person I can help, and I need to help the world. I need to help, every rider on the planet who is feeling that horrible feeling. Because riding something, if you're scared of snakes, that's cool. Just don't touch a snake. Don't go around a snake. It's really easy. But with horses, we love them. So to be scared of something you love, and to be to have a horrible feeling about something that actually gives you a great feeling, to me is just the most painful thing a human can go through. So I'm just obsessed. I'm getting really fired up because, I want to solve that for people. I want to help people with that because, they have to have fun with what they love. And to feel that horrible feeling about what they love is just not cool in my world.
Yeah. No, I think it's such a big issue for everyone. I mean, I even have it as I get older. It kind of happens, and all of your baggage and all the horses, and so it's a real thing. And so giving people strategies to handle it is fantastic. And that's one of the reasons we loved your website, and we felt like we wanted to highlight it because it's such a real thing for so many people. So. Natasha, how can people find you online if they have any more questions or want to learn more about the programs?
Yep, the website you've given, yourridingsuccess.com. We've got heaps of free classes, heaps of free resources. Anything I can do to help, just let us know. We're also on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, heaps of free YouTube videos. And really just I employ a team to be there for you. So if you want to talk to us, if you want help with your specific situation, private message us, email us, call us. I'm pretty sure our mobile number's there. We're here for you. We get it. I'm on a mission on the planet to help riders experience as much fun, love, joy in every moment. And that's what, the business is there to do. That's what everyone's job is. So, if anyone needs help, just head over to the website or the social media channels and get in touch.
Fantastic. And one more time, what is the website?
yourridingsuccess.com.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much. And we look forward to hearing from you in the future.
Oh, my absolute pleasure. It was so fun. Thanks for having me.
Well, we are entering a new year, thank God. If you're looking to start the year off right, then consider a new Bates saddle. Bates saddles are the saddle brand that truly puts your horse first. Enjoy comfort, optimum balance, and seamless contact with your horse, leaving you free to concentrate on your aids. Consider the new Bates Artiste Dressage saddle. It features a movable Flexicontour block, adjustable ergonomic stirrup bar, and luxe leather. The new Bates Artiste Dressage saddle has a position so natural and a connection so sensitive that the saddle all but disappears and your performance is amplified. Let's hear what Allie Saxon, the United States Eventer, has to say about it.
I really liked the streamlined look that it gave. I love the Advanta, and I love the close contact of the Advanta, and I saw very similar features in this saddle as the Advanta had, so I was really excited to see how it felt once I sat in it. Sitting in it, I liked the close contact feel that it gave it right away. With the Webbers, it also gave the ability to kind of really wrap your leg around without having any interference. Right away, the balance felt super, very comfortable. The panels were nice and soft on my thigh. Everything about the saddle was clearly well thought through, and as a rider, it's nice to sit down in a saddle that feels designed not just for you, but also for the horse's comfort.
Learn all about Bates saddles at batessaddles.com. That's batessaddles.com.
Well, tonight we are really excited to have our Horse Radio Network Auditor book review of Uta Graf's Effortless Dressage program. And we have Auditor Katja Korsh on the show. Katja, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here doing this. This is super fun.
We are pumped to have you. Katja, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, I am German originally, but I've been in the United States since I was a child. And I currently live in central Alabama, just south of Birmingham, where I am a trainer. And my primary emphasis is on dressage, but I use science-based methods, positive reinforcement, clicker training, and I try to use, best practices to have a very humane and ethical training approach. And I have my own little farm here. I have 4 horses and a donkey and an assortment of cats, dogs, and chickens. And I just kind of do my thing.
I love it. Where in Germany are you from?
I was born in Tübingen, which is in the south, kind of near Frankfurt. But I spent most of my time way up in the north in Germany, in Schleswig-Holstein area near Plön, which is about 15 minutes from the Baltic Sea, and up near Denmark. And it's in the heart of the, Holsteiner area. I worked with Holsteiners, Turkaners, Oldenburgers. I did a lot of stints as a working student as I was growing up. I went back and forth a lot, and I spent many, many years in Germany as a working student. So my dressage foundation is very classical, and that's where I learned it.
Absolutely. So you would have loved Uta Graf's book. Tell us about it.
Yes. I mean, there are no words for how much I love that book, but I guess I better come up with some words because that's why I'm here. Right?
that is technically why we called you. Yes. But what do you think about the book? Tell us a little bit about it.
I really, really like the book. I found it very easy to read. The format, the practical exercises and the green boxes that were throughout the book were great because, it's something you can kind of quickly refer back to, and it's real easy to just kind of flip through the pages and get some ideas from that. And also the case studies. She had like 5 or 6 very different horses that she kind of interspersed, their histories and their case studies throughout the book. So that kind of broke up the text so you don't just get bogged down, in all the theory. And that just made it real easy to read. And plus there's lots of pretty pictures, tons of pretty pictures. So, but I really, I like, as far as a readability standpoint, I really like that.
Yeah, I was just going to say that was probably my favorite part of the book as well, is that you get a real personal touch and a personal experience from Uta herself, because she talks about horses that she's riding. And I think a couple of them were, Grand Prix a few years ago, but it's still, like I said, I remember that horse, or I've seen video of that horse. And then you kind of get a personal connection to how she talks about each horse's personality and how she needed to train them, and some specific problems that she was trying to solve with her training.
Right. Yes. So each horse, had its own particular set of challenges. They were all very different, and some were more talented than others, but they all were, developed to the best of their potential. And I found it very relatable because, I've been a long time fan of Uta Graf, and I have a huge horsey crush on Dame Jerome. I just love that horse. I'm like, oh my God. And so,
amazing,
DJ was one of her case study horses. And so it was really neat to kind of see, get some insight into, how she worked with him. So that was really cool. I just think that, the trainers in general, and people that read this book, and anybody that, works with horses basically is a trainer. I mean, you're always training. You're either training good or you're training bad, right? So you always teach your horse something when you're working with them. And I think that trainers should take into account the horse's ethology. And I think this book clearly shows how well she understands the biological needs of the horse and takes them into account. She has a very kind, science-based approach, which is unsurprisingly very effective. And the whole underlying thread of the book is less is more. The more we manage and control and take away the horse's autonomy, the more adversely it impacts our relationship with the horse. And, the whole thing is, she has a thing about, drink coffee in your pirouette,
Yeah, I love that.
make it effortless, make it, less is more. And, you see so many riders out there, it's like she said, the horse looks like it's the one drinking the coffee and the rider's up there dying.
Yeah. So, there was lots of that kind of humor stuff, as a thread throughout the book, and also, talking about the horse as a complete animal, a holistic approach to training, that they need turnout and they need fun.
Right.
And that's something that can get lost a little bit. Yeah.
We have to allow the horse, their independence and their freedom of choice. It really boils down to choice and consent for the horse. And she talks about sticky horses, horses that are quote unquote lazy, and basically how that's caused by the rider, because the riders are like too controlling and over-aiding them to death, And what I loved about it, I love the part in the book where she talks about, the para riders, because she's the coach for the para riders. And it really proves her point, that not to override the horse, and that, timing of the aids and tact are effective, and not managing and aiding them to death all the time. Because para riders can't over-aid their horses because they physically, can't do it with their physical limitations. So they have to, rely on, their timing and their balance and just being, a tactful rider, So it really proves her point.
Yeah, and making sure that the aids that you do apply are intentional and consequential. Consequential is a word I like to use.
Consequent, yes, that's a perfect word. And we use that in German, consequent. It's got to mean something. It's got to, you want to be clear and concise. So I also like the way she goes into, mental and emotional enrichment, not just, staying in the dressage room and taking the horse out onto like her husband's working equitation course and doing obstacles and doing a lot of groundwork and, turnout. And, she emphasized that. And I'll be honest, I almost cried in the part of the book where she talked about DJ being so depressed as a stallion because he was so anxious all the time. And they finally gelded him so he could just be a horse and go out, not have to worry about mares and not fret. And I was like, that's really putting the horse first.
Yes.
Yeah, because he's a popular stallion to breed to. I mean, he's got
that had to be
kind of successful.
Decision, but they made that decision for him, and he's a happy boy. So I loved it anyway. So overall, that was just basically my assessment is that. The book very much resonates with me because that's how I train, because I'm a positive reinforcement, science-based trainer. And that's, everything she said just really resonated with me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
sorry, I was just going to say another part of this book was kind of near the end, and it talks about, the mental attitude of riders. And I just pulled this quote out, because I thought it was really, kind of funny, and for all our listeners, I think would enjoy it, is that the quote says, "I don't know whether riding dressage makes people crazy, or if only crazy people ride dressage."
I busted out laughing. When I read that, I laughed out loud.
That spoke to me so much. Yeah. Right. But,
that was great.
Yeah, where does it start? It's a chicken or egg kind of.
Yeah, we're all like, right? I'm like, I don't know.
And then one other quote that I wanted to bring to people is, she talks about teaching or people's mental approach to riding a lesson, where she has, for instance, a student that says, "I simply don't have enough talent." This should be the first sentence that you strike from your list. This thought can be an enormous obstacle to your development, because good riders are good because they practice. And I've read other things about this, like people think that they're born with talent, but it's just people who are determined and who practice. It's the 10,000 hours theory. You got to get to your 10,000 hours to be good at anything. It has nothing to do with talent. Yeah.
I'm living proof that I'm not the world's most talented person, but I've worked my off, to get where I am with it. And it's just the love of the sport and the desire to get out there and just every day throw a leg over, and do the thing, just practice. And, because God knows I'm no great talent, but, I love that. Yes, I totally I'm glad you brought that up, Philip, about the mental training of the rider. I think that's so important.
Yeah,
it's a super humbling sport for anyone, and
oh yeah,
and you need the right mental approach, to go out and do it day after day.
Well, and that there is a mental aspect, right? I mean, she talks about how mental training helps and how you have to do mental training obstacles and exercises just like anything else. And I actually took that because it's true, right? Part of this is mentally, and it's mentally challenging some days, and some days it's really, really difficult. And so I really like that she also went into that along with the horses, that the same thing with the horses, like you may not have the most talented horse, but you can really improve that horse dramatically with quality of life. And I thought it was just great. So I think the three of us would highly recommend this book. So we're going to tell you how to get it again, but it's Uta Graf's Effortless Dressage Program, a top rider's key to success using play, groundwork, trail riding, and turnout. And you can get this book at horseandriderbooks.com, horseandriderbooks.com. And Katja, you were eligible. What we do is it's usually a couple times a year, right, Phil? Sometimes it's once a month. It sort of depends on how busy we are. But we pick a book club book and we offer to the auditors of the Horse Radio Network. And you can find more information out on that program on horseradionetwork.com. That helps us at the network run smoothly. And there's a great Facebook page, and that is how you're eligible to review the book with us. So Katja, we're so glad you were able to come online and talk to us. And if anybody wanted to find you and your business in Alabama, how do they do that?
Well, I do have a Facebook page for Korsh horsemanship. I also have a website that I really desperately need to get on an update, because I'll be honest, I have really been behind on that. But I am on Facebook. Both as an individual by my name, Katja Korsh, and my Korsh Horsemanship Facebook page.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for coming on the show and reviewing the book. And everyone really loves this program. We're going to keep it going, and we appreciate you coming on. So thanks so much, and stay safe.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And likewise.
Well, Phil, I think one of the hardest things for all of us is obviously saddle fit, and how, your saddle fits. And we have a little solution to this problem. TotalSaddleFit.com is fantastic, and all their products. But today, actually, this just happened to me in my barn. One of my barn mates here, she was really struggling with her saddle sliding forward. And I said, hey, why don't you just try the Total Saddle Fit shoulder relief girth? Helped a lot. So it was really cool to see Justin makes amazing saddle fit, all kinds of tools, but to try the girth on, she never used the girth before, and it really made a difference. So we truly love these girths. We use them every day. We have every version of the girths. But it was really cool that there was a saddle fit problem. I just let her borrow the girth, and it pretty much solved the problem. So,
we've been using these girths for 3 years now, Reese?
Maybe longer.
From the first design, and we're not used to having saddle sliding, saddle moving problems because the girths work so well. And then when somebody else is like, oh, my saddle fits, or you go teach a lesson and the saddle sliding around, I'm like, what are you doing with this girth? You need it. It's a fairly inexpensive solution to a problem that we've all dealt with. So that's the shoulder relief girth. They have a stretch check version. They have all versions, all different liners. I think people should just go ahead and check them out at TotalSaddleFit.com.
Absolutely. And this week we have a fantastic Total Saddle Fit tip of the week from Kristi Wysocki. We hope you enjoy.
This week's dressage training tip is brought to you by Total Saddle Fit, home of the shoulder relief girth at TotalSaddleFit.com.
Well, tonight for our Total Saddle Fit Tip of the Week, we have Kristi Wysocki on the show again. She is an FEI 4-star dressage judge, an FEI 5-star para judge, and a USEF sport horse judge. Kristi, welcome back.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's always fun to talk with you guys.
We love having you, and you have such amazing tips, and I mean, you're just full of knowledge. And we wanted to talk a little bit about confirmation in our tip this week. Can you kind of get us started?
Sure. I thought something that might be useful for people to kind of get reminded of, because it really doesn't get presented that often, is that the confirmation of the horse, it's not the end of the game if a horse is not the perfect confirmation for dressage. But it is important to understand their confirmation and understand what parts of the confirmation affect different aspects when you are training a dressage horse. And there's 3 major categories where confirmation comes in and plays a role. The first is the training of the horse. Different confirmations of horses will have to have some different approaches to the training. Not that you go off classical training by any means, but you definitely are going to ride a horse, for instance, with a very high set neck. You would ride that horse very different than a horse that had a low set neck. So that is the first subject that we focus on for confirmation, things that might affect that. One example is a thick throat latch can affect training, because if it's very thick, they can have trouble breathing. And that obviously would interfere with some training issues. The second subject that we categorize confirmation issues into is movement concerns. And this would be, for example, if the horse has confirmation that causes them to paddle or wing, where there's a deviation of the movement of the leg from just traveling straight. And that's the second category. And it's quite important too, because depending on how it affects the movement of the horse, it can actually become an issue for the safety of the horse or the rider. And everybody always wants to say, well, what's the difference between paddling and winging? I get confused as to which one is which. And a million years ago, can't remember how many, but it seems like a million, Hilda Gurney taught me the way to remember is that the paddle goes outside the boat. So the horse whose leg deviates to the outside is the paddler. And the horse that deviates to the inside is the winging horse. And the reason I bring that up as an effect for the movement is the horse who paddles will lose some length of stride because the leg arches out instead of just traveling straight ahead. So the length of stride will be reduced to some minor degree to significant, depending on how bad. But the horse that wings can actually interfere with themselves and sometimes can cause some splint bone breaks are caused by a horse that wings. And then one step beyond winging is a horse that they travel so close together that the one front foot lands in front of the other. And we call that plating. And that's really what we put in the category of severe confirmation issues, because a horse who plates can easily trip, which then it makes it a safety issue for them and the rider. So that's the second category that we classify as movement concerns related to confirmation. And then the third one is soundness, which is obviously the one that is the most concern. And here we get into, if a horse has severe confirmation issues, they are most likely going to have soundness issues that will follow behind. And by severe, we talk about things like a very crooked leg, a leg that deviates way high in the leg. The higher up the leg, the deviation begins, the more severe the effect will be, the more torque and strain on all the soft tissue down the entire leg will occur. So, for instance, a horse that might just toe out slightly from the fetlock down is much less likely to have soundness issues than a horse whose leg deviates and the deviation starts way up in the shoulder area and just continues to come down and down and down. And typically a horse that has that kind of deviation will have the problem up high, and then they'll have another problem, and then another problem, and another problem. They just kind of build on top of each other. It's very common when they have severe conformation issues that they tend to join together and have a party and cause you havoc.
Yeah.
So those are the three main categories that conformation really plays a big role in our sport. And most of the time people only think about the soundness one. And it's actually really important to think about it in the training of every horse, because if you understand your horse's conformation, you can train them more effectively. Because if you're having trouble getting them to do something, if you look at their conformation, you might go, oh, that's why they can't do it. So I need to do more of this or more of that in order so that they can become strong enough, supple enough, etc., so that they can do what I want them to do. So it
Kristi,
actually
I was going to jump in. I was like, you're such a wealth of knowledge, and you teach a lot of courses, and you're involved with the USEF and the USDF in providing this education. Where did you get all of this knowledge, and how have you learned all about this?
The start of my knowledge with this really came when I spent 3 months. I had the fortune to go to Hilda Gurney's farm, King Ridge Farms in California in 1996. And I was there for 3 months in the spring, and there were 12 foals born while I was there. And she also had 2 stallions there at the time. And that I kind of went into the breeding world head first with that. I mean, it was a lot going on with that many babies born. And I just fell in love with it. And I learned so much from her and her vet at the time, Marta Granstedt, because I was living on the farm. So I got to help a lot with foal watch and that kind of thing. And I just got enamored with it. I love to learn. I have an engineering education, and I love to learn. And after those 3 months at Hilda's, I just dove in and kept learning and learning. And then I decided I wanted to become a sport horse judge with USEF, which then led me to more opportunities to spend more time at Hilda's, going to seminars and working. When you're training to become a sport horse judge, you have to go to several educational seminars and work with live horses and evaluate all types of different conformations so that you really learn to see the horse for what it is. Because when you step back and just look at a horse that has, especially when they're black and they're really pretty, you can't see much. And you walk up closer and start actually looking for the real horse. I call it looking for the horse underneath the hair. It's amazing. Sometimes it can be deceptive because the hair, it does hide a lot. And then I got involved as an educator with USDF and USDF, and I helped create the training module for the sport horse seminar that USDF puts on, and a lot of the judges' education for sport horse. And by putting those courses together, I spent hundreds of hours studying and researching and studying again and researching again to really make sure that I had the right information to put into those educational formats.
And now you've brought that online and made it available to people through an online course. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, this year, 2020, the year of strangeness for us all, right? I spent more time on a computer in 2020 teaching lessons and going to meetings. And the whole time I was spending all the time with these virtual, I even did a few virtual seminars. And while I was doing that, it dawned on me that our discipline is not using that format of education to its full potential. And so I decided to start an online educational platform called the Y Dressage Academy. And the first course is specifically about conformation and movement of the dressage horse and how it impacts your eye when you're buying and breeding and training the dressage horse. So I'm very excited about that.
So how can we find more information about the Y Dressage Academy?
You can go on the website, which is yyDressageacademy.com, and you can see the course outline is there. There's a short video on information with that. You can also go to my page on Facebook. There's a lot of information there also. But really, the best place is the website itself has the details, and then if you're interested in it, you can actually sign up there too. So, but it's DressageAcademy.com, like my last name.
Well, Kristi, thank you so much. It sounds like a fantastic program, and I hope this gave everybody just a taste of what you will be getting in the seminar. So thanks so much for coming on, and we wish you all the best, and we can't wait to hear how the first session goes.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate you having me on again tonight. It's great to talk to you guys again.
Well, Phil, as always, we love email and Facebook shout outs. They really, really keep us smiling. We enjoy it when you guys send them to us. So keep them coming. We've got some great listener tips or questions in the queue, and we will grab them. We've just been busy with some tips. So we hope you guys are all enjoying it. As always, you can find our show notes and links to today's guests on our website, dressageradio.com. Like us on Facebook, just search Dressage Radio Show. Follow us on Twitter at Horse Radio. My website is maplecrestfarmky.com, and my email is reese@horseradionetwork.com.
I think the best way to find me is through Facebook, and my email is philip@horseradionetwork.com. I'd like to thank our sponsors for allowing us to put on a good show. That's ProStride, Kentucky Performance Products, Eco Gold, Bates Saddlery, and Total Saddle Fit. Don't forget to check out all the other shows on the Horse Radio Network at horseradionetwork.com.
Everybody, keep your heels down and your shoulders back, and we look forward to talking with you in 2 weeks.